Chapter 22 War of Wonder. The next time I'd stand beside the White Queen would be later that day on the battlefield across from Red's army. The day all of Wonderland, both friend and foe, have been waiting for was here. Please let me jump in here and skip the blood and gore we all know comes with great battles. I'll bring the story to the climax where I faced Red, alone, in the tallest tower in White's castle. I ran up the stairs following Red's trail, the bloody vorpal blade leading the way. When I reached the top, I found Red facing the window. I raised my sword in case there were any surprises. "Well, Alan, we meet again," her voice cracked. "I suppose you think you're going to kill me here, don't you?" She turned and faced the bloody tip of my weapon. With a chuckle she continued, "The vorpal blade. You expect to beat me with that old thing?" She quickly raised a hand and sent me flying against the wall. "I have a few tricks of my own." As I dropped my sword, Red approached me with razor-sharp fingernails. Unable to reach it, I waited to feel the sting of her nails stabbing my flesh. Just as it was about to happen, a voice from the doorway grabbed Red's attention. "Am I interrupting something?" a shapeless voice asked. "What do you want, cat?" she snapped in its direction. Just then, Chesh came fully into view. "At least let me say hello and goodbye before you do away with him," he said. When I realized it was Chesh in the door, I yelled to him, "Chesh, help me." He slyly responded, But I can't, Alan, for if I did, I'd be helping the enemy." "Enemy? She's the enemy," I exclaimed. She's the enemy to you, boy." As his words sank in, I weakly asked, "You're the traitor?" The cat grinned. "Not a traitor, just fighting on the correct side." He walked in front of Red and I. "You see, ever since the kingdom was given to White, Wonderland has been cloaked in war from the time of Alice to yours. The land would have been in peace if the rightful Queen Red ruled." Red added, "All of Wonderland will be painted red by the time the sun sets. It will be White who is cast out, and your head will be the prize of victory." She knelt and picked up my sword, releasing me from the wall. As she backed toward the window, she said, "But neither of us will die here." Just then, a cloud of red rose from her feet, and she was gone. I looked to confront Chesh, but discovered he disappeared as well. Knowing down was their only escape, I ran down the stairs of the tower with the intention of catching Red and getting the vorpal blade back. Chapter 23 War of Wonder Part 2. I ran through a field of swords, shields, arrows, and screaming men trying to catch up to Red with my blade. Among the sounds of battle, I saw her standing alone on a hill, atop a hill. I marched forth, sure that this would be the location of our final face-off. When I scaled the hill, I was met by Red's green eyes. She stood hunched in anger, the vorpal blade in hand. "So glad you could join me, Alan," she snapped with a smirk. "It's much roomier out here than in that tower." "You have nowhere to run, Red," I yelled. "I'm not running," she fired back. "I just wanted the people you fought alongside to watch you die." Red then tossed my weapon back to me, as her smile grew to be daggers once again. We then began our fierce one-on-one battle, swinging and dodging, each trying to outdo the other. In the end, I lost the encounter when I was forced back by Red's hand. Excuse me. I landed flat on my back, my blade landing out of my reach. I tried to crawl to my sword, but when I put my hand on it, I felt a paw holding it down. The grinning cat sat in front of me, his eyes locked on mine. Red walked closer to me. As Red walked closer to me, she began to mock me. "Here is your savior, White, the great hero, beaten down like the child he is. It is I who gets to witness the same weakness Alice had in her eyes. It is here the champion of Wonderland will die. Your prophecy has failed you." I waited to feel her nails pierce my armor once again, but Red's focus was broken once more. "Not quite," a voice said, as its owner hit Chesh in the head, sending him flying off my sword. It was Hatter, who stood with his staff in a defensive position. When Red realized who it was, she snapped, "Don't be mad, Hatter. You could be at home drinking tea." Hatter's reply was one of conviction. "The next time I drink tea, it will be in a free land." At that moment, he lunged forward, engaging Red in battle. I watched them fight fiercely, matching each other step for step. Red was eventually too much for Hatter, her nails breaking his staff in two and slicing him across the chest. He let out a cry of pain as he stumbled backwards. Red laughed as she moved in to finish him. Poor Hatter, about to die in vain and without one little drink. She raised her hand above her head for the final blow, but as she did, she was taken back with a sharp pain in her gut. I pushed the vorpal blade into Red as she started gasping. Falling to her knees, she reached my level. I leaned in and whispered, "Care for some tea?" I laid her back, still gasping, but it didn't take long for her green eyes to fade to gray. I took a long sigh, knowing the war was over. Pulling the sword from Red, I looked at the unconscious body of Chesh. Hatter, reading my thoughts, said, "He'll be okay, Alan. I'm sure the White Queen will know just what to do with him." With a nod of appreciation, I stood up and walked to the edge of the hill. I looked over the damage of the battle below, catching the eye of the White Queen, who was guarded by Dee and Dum on the balcony of her castle. She gave me a peaceful smile, and in response I lifted the vorpal blade high above my head in victory. It was in this moment that the mysterious vision that haunted me for so long had just come to pass. Chapter 24, Wonderland's Wish. Later that evening, we all stood in White's throne room. It seemed all of Wonderland was there to witness what was happening. Seated before the Queen, in chains, was Chesh, awaiting his sentence. The Queen raised a gentle hand to calm the audience as she spoke. "Cheshire Cat, you have been found guilty of treachery and association with an enemy of the crown." The crowd broke the silence with a chant, "Off with his head." With a smile, White dismissed the chant. "Please. It would be so easy to jump to that decision when I have a far better choice." She gleamed with pride as she continued, "Cat, I hereby sentence you to a lifetime of catching mice in the castle's kitchen. You shall never again go free." With the roar of the crowd, Dee and Dum picked Chesh up and carried him out of the room. The Queen once again quieted the people, and then moved on to the next topic. "Now then, Today was a great day for the kingdom. I can say that we as a people are free. Cheers echoed loudly. We must mourn those we lost, for it was their sacrifices along with the completion of the prophecy that gave us the victory, the Queen said. With that said, would you please step forward, Alan? I proudly strode forth to be embraced by the Queen. I give you the Savior of Wonderland, proclaimed White, the crowd following with a chant, Long live Alan. We are in your debt, my dear. As a token of gratitude, allow me to grant you one wish, anything your heart desires. After some thought, I meekly said, I would very much like to return home, your majesty. With a smile, the Queen addressed the people. He wishes to return home to the land of Alice. To this they replied, Long live Alice. The Queen turned her attention back to me. So be it. Would you please present the vorpal blade and take a knee? Just then, Hatter came from the back of the room, took the blade from my hip and presented it to White. I then bowed my head and closed my eyes. I felt a tap on each shoulder, but then nothing. When I opened my eyes again, I was seated under the tree in the woods, journals open on my lap. No blade or armor in sight. All the people gone, my only company was the setting sun. Seeing my wish had come true, I put the books in my bag and ran for home as fast as I could. Epilogue. Well, now that you've heard my story, do you believe in Wonderland? Do you think Alice was mentally sick after all? It isn't my place to claim either, nor am I in the position to. I suppose now that the tale has been told, I can share where I am. You see, I visited Wonderland many years ago, and as I grew older, I tried to share my adventure with any who would listen. For my effort, I was deemed mentally ill, like Alice, and have since been placed in an asylum. This may confirm one version of the story over the other, but I know what I saw, and even if you don't believe my account, Alice's journals do exist in this world. They have left my possession and are waiting to be discovered once again. I only hope that the one who finds them can do what I failed to do in deciphering whether Wonderland is real or just a never-ending curse to the bloodline of Alice. And there you have it, boys and girls. Alan in Wonderland in its entirety. I just want to express my gratitude to you once again and saying just a huge thank you for not only allowing me to make this series, but also thank you to everyone for participating and watching these videos. And I guess more specifically, just thank you for allowing myself and my books to be a part of your life in whatever form or fashion you experienced this series. And I just really enjoyed this, and I'm looking forward to continuing with the sequel, the new book, and any other books that come out in the future, and I hope that you're just as excited as I am. So, until next time, guys, until we return to the How to Read series, we'll see you around.